Hello, good evening. I am Samuel Kojo Braze, your anchor for Joy News Prime. Our headlines this hour: the minority in Parliament say the office of the president is engaged in reckless and irresponsible expenditure after so many institutions under the office were cited by the Finance Committee for overspending their budget. Details as Parliament approves 2 billion cedis for Finance Ministry to spend in 2024 after Deputy Speaker suspended sitting for an hour. Now, 8 trips, $14.8 billion worth of loans. That's the story of Ghana, a nation that can pay its debt after borrowing so much from the international capital market. We have a blow-by-blow analysis of how Ghana got choked with Eurobond loans exceeding $14.7 billion since 2007. Now, some NDC MPs demand immediate resignation of Controller and Accountant General after he picked forms to contest the Akim Swedro parliamentary primaries of the MPP. Now, the minority in Parliament say the office of the president is engaged in reckless and irresponsible expenditure after so many institutions under the office were cited by the Finance Committee for overspending their budget. The Chief of Staff's office, the Press Office and Cabinet Secretariat all spent more than monies actually released to them. Ranking member on the Finance Committee, Isaac Adongo, questioned where the office found the extra money to spend and charged it to show leadership and not overspend.
Of the president, they are very worried. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the unit under the office of the president, you will notice that the Chief of Staff Secretariat, which is at the heart of the office of the president, is very reckless in government expenditure. Mr. Speaker, how on earth can you get releases of 131 million and be able to spend 144 million? You are giving 133 million, but you magically spend 144 million. How do you get that money? In there, that the office or the chief of staff is able to make expenditures irrespective of whether you make releases to the office or not. And we need to get to the bottom of how that office is able to make the money to spend when it has not even been released, those monies. Said that when we release 131, we expect you to spend 131 million, you spend 144 million, and we don't know where you get that money from. Mr. Speaker, you can look at the Cabinet Secretariat. The Cabinet Secretariat had a budget of 4.5 million. And by September, we are not even at the end of the year, by September, they are spending 7.6 million. So clearly, the office of the president is not part of our budget. And for them, they spend as they wish. They don't care about appropriation, and all they are doing is spending money that you don't know how they got it. That when you budget for 4.5, in September, you haven't even ended the year, they are already doing 7.6. Actually, overspending their budget by September of almost 3 million, which is against the Public Financial Management Act. Mr. Speaker, look at the Press Secretariat. The Press Secretariat was released 89,000, but they spent 152,000. I don't know how the office of the president is able to find those monies that it has not been given. That when you release 89 million, 89,000, and you expect them to spend 89,000, they will spend 152. So, Mr. Speaker, this is the office that is supposed to be signaling to the whole government how to be responsible in our fiscal management, and that is the office that is really guilty of being fiscally irresponsible.
Now, the minority chief were commenting on this, is calling for the disbandment of special development organizations established under the office.
Mr. Speaker, what actually is the use of the development authorities? Complete waste. It's just a Congo for nothing. Mr. Speaker, Koda started a project, a 6-unit project, a classroom project in my constituency. It's been abandoned for ages. Get Fund could have done that. What is the point of asking Northern Coastal Development Authority to go and build a classroom? Has Get Fund failed to do so? Get Fund is unable to do these things because They don't have the money. Then you go and create another Kwango. And then call it, and staff it with all manner of people, and then say that you can go and award a 6-unit classroom block. Mr. Speaker, then you go and put the money under the presidency. Mr. Speaker, I think this House should be thinking of actually considering some of the things we do in this House. In fact, sometimes you cannot blame government for, because we passed it. And I remember the majority leader told us how the setting up of the development authorities was going to be a game changer, was going to make things better. Today, even one 6-unit classroom block in Adaku have been abandoned. So where are the promises you gave us? Mr. Speaker, we should have been trying to actually rescind some of the decisions. The development authorities can be collapsed today. It will actually give better value for money for our country.
There's been a substantial increase in the allocation to the presidency for 2024 compared to the year 2023. The minority leader is concerned it is for election and vote buying.
In fact, capital expenditure alone at the office of the president in particular is 67 million Ghana cedis. 67 million Ghana cedis. What at all are they purchasing? Capital expenditure. How many cars are they buying? To the extent that they will have to budget 67 million Ghana cedis for capital expenditure. Mr. Speaker, largely this amount is for the purchases of cars. My concern is it because election is staring at us? And is that the reason why? And that is the question I'm asking. Is it because election is staring at us? And that is why the Office of Government Machinery budget has moved from 1.4 billion to 2 billion? Or is it because of the elections? That is why the Office of the President in particular, the budget for the Office of the President has been increased from about 400 million to 1 billion Ghana cedis. 400 million to about 1 billion Ghana cedis, of which goods and services alone amounting to 450.6 million Ghana cedis, goods and services alone. What at all are they using this money for? Goods and services. Because this is according to the budget statement before us. The Speaker, these are things that I believe that this House must call and demand answers from the Office of the President. The Speaker, Chief of Staff's office is where most of this expenditure is concentrated, particularly the Special Operations account. And the details was presented by the Office of the President in a document that was submitted to the Finance Committee. The Speaker, is something that we should all be worried about.
Our parliamentary correspondent Kwekwa Asante is joining us with some details from Parliament. But before I go to him, the Finance Ministry's budget is approved amidst drama in Parliament about which side had the loudest voice during the voice vote. Earlier, it was obvious after a voice vote that the majority side had lost, with the NDC colleagues outnumbering them in the chamber. But instead of declaring that the motion had been lost, Second Deputy Speaker Andrew Amwakon Esiama suspended the House for an hour. More on that shortly. First, listen to the minority leader explain his side's opposition to the estimate for the Finance Ministry, citing the ministry and GRA's revenue assurance deal with SML, which he announced his side will be bringing a motion to the House to investigate.
Ghana, as chair of the CVF 20, and I thank Dr. Marco, led a long-term reform
to hear from an investigative journalist that during the time that the country was going through a major financial crisis, the same Ministry of Finance had the audacity to sign a contract in US dollars worth $100 billion a year for 5 years. So, Speaker, we are coming with a motion before you. This matter must be investigated by this House. So, Speaker, we need to pay attention. What is happening at the Ministry of Finance, Speaker, is a serious matter. The company called SML, that has made the headlines in our country, Mr. Speaker, to the extent that since the year 2018, this company, supposedly, according to the investigative journalist, is receiving 24 million every month for no work.
Now, Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante joins us with details. Kweku, this position had earlier been reiterated by the Minority Chief Whip, right?
To make the point that this government's reckless expenditure knew no bounds, and that at the time that this government is happy on increasing a lot of taxes and demanding so much from the Ghanaian public, they are entering questionable contracts that must be abrogated. In particular, this SMS deal, he says it is not proper and must be abrogated.
Of the CVF 20, and I want to thank Dr. Mafo, led a long-term reform to champion the cause of climate vulnerable nations. And this is the thing, Ghana will be able to access a minimum of $500,000 as an achievement when you have just recently created a company which we are told are being given $100 million a year. And you are saying that it's an achievement to benefit for 500,000. You have cheapened governance to the lowest level. Your government is not even fit to manage a district assembly. Your government is not fit to manage a district assembly. It's a substandard government. Mr. Speaker, with this heavy heart, I urge colleagues to vote against this by this one.
Then came the voice vote. What really happened?
Yes, the voice vote was on the motion that this Honorable House approved the sum of 2.2 billion Ghana cedis for the services of the Ministry of Finance for the year ending 31st December. You heard Governor Kwame Agbodza there asking his colleagues to vote against it. They actually did. And if you listen to the voice vote that the Speaker of Parliament put on the floor, the second Deputy Speaker, it was obvious that the minority had more numbers in the chamber than that of their colleagues in the majority. But bizarrely, the second Deputy Speaker decided not to pronounce on that and to suspend it for an hour. Let's watch what went on the floor.
Of the motion listed 12 in today's order paper, say aye. All those against say no. Honorable members, I'll take the question again. Honorable members, all those in favor of the motion listed 12 in today's order paper, say aye. All those against, say no. Honorable members, I'll hold on with the decision and suspend the House for 1 hour. The House is suspended for 1 hour.
The voice vote. You want an interpretation of the voice vote.
Okay, this is interesting, but what happened next and what has been the reaction really?
Well, so Belly and I did not reach the hour that the second Deputy Speaker had suspended the House for. About 30 minutes into this suspension, the Speaker of Parliament, Aban Baghdad himself, came in. At the time, the numbers on the floor were quite downtrodden compared to the numbers that we saw early on when the vote happened. That was the minority numbers have been almost halved. The Speaker of Parliament then himself put the question again, and this time around the majority MPs were on the floor and had no votes. The minority MPs are incensed. They are accusing the second Deputy Speaker of trampling upon the standing orders of the House, and some of them are actually not happy with their leadership that they did not raise these matters on the floor of the House. Murtala Mohammed has been speaking on Top Story on Joy FM, where he raises these questions in terms of what exactly he expected his leadership to do about this. But ultimately, they did not show up, and the House has approved about 2.2 billion for the Finance Ministry to spend in 2024.
Good, grateful to you for joining us. Yeah. Now, still on the economy, let there be loans, and there were loans in excess of $14.7 billion. That's the story of Ghana, a nation that moved from a trailblazer to a global beggar seeking for debt reliefs in the Eurobond market. Part 3 of Joy News' hotline documentary titled A Nation That Begs by Isaac Kofi put a spotlight on how Ghana racked up loans from the international capital market only to default on its debt servicing obligations a few years later. Here are excerpts.
In 2007, Ghana stepped into the international capital market for the first time with the first issuance of $750 million. The then Finance Minister, Kwadwo Bawurie, returned from London with $750 million and several firsts. In fact, Ghana was the first sub-Saharan sovereign state to enter the international bond market and the first post-HIPC country to tap international capital.
We spent 336 million of our own oil revenue to start paying off the first sovereign bond issued under President Kufuor, moving away from interest only. Out of the 750, we left enough in the sinking fund, about 250 plus, for the current government to use 200 million to pay off the final installment on that. October 4th, the anniversary, 2017, it was a 2-year bond.
After going follow from the back to the Eurobond market for more loans.
The Mills era, we didn't borrow a lot. We had borrowed significantly under the Mahama era. And the reason that happened was that the Mahama era was trying to create a new strategy where they can combine IMF programs with international borrowing, which is what Kenya is doing right now. So Kenya gets money from the IMF, but it also borrows from the international market. And it blends both. It uses one to strengthen its hand in the other. So the Mahama government took that. But you can see evidence that initially, this was the borrowing costs that we're faced with. We hit as much as 10.75% for a very sudden thing before they went back to the IMF in 2015. So by the time they went back to the IMF in 2015, they were been able to bring down the cost of borrowing from 10.75% to 9% and a little above that. So one of the things that's evident is also that international markets tend to look at the IMF programs as evidence of, or rather a source of unbiased analysis.
Seth Ekpe was finance minister, and he led Ghana to its second trip to the Eurobond market to borrow $1 billion in 2013. He returned to the market for more loans in 2014 and 2015. The Mahama administration in 2016, Ghana had taken Eurobond loans of up to $3 billion in 3 years.
Actually, I was the minister who, would I say, honored or what, to receive the letter from the World Bank and the African Development Bank telling us that we become middle income country. We couldn't borrow and repay over 40 years. We could only borrow and repay over 25 years. When we became middle income country.
That was the cap that was placed on our borrowing.
It means that they call it moving to harder terms.
In 2017, Ghana saw a change in leadership as President Akufo-Addo assumed office. Ken Ofori-Atta was appointed finance minister. During this period, Ghana was halfway through a $918 million International Monetary Fund program initiated in 2015 under the previous administration led by John Dramani Mahama.
Now, when the baton was handed to President Akufo-Addo in 2017, they came to meet an existing IMF program. Remember, 2015. And that program, they had challenges, as I mentioned, managing that program because they were still balancing it with international borrowing at a significant level. So we had what often you call slippages, right? Now the government had to would pull up and try and comply with the terms that the government had agreed. So 2017 was a fairly tough year for the government, right? Because you come and inherit a program, you're not that happy. You need to double up and make sure that the program is running properly. Given that you intend to do even more on the international capital markets, so the IMF data, the IMF analysis, the IMF verdict to be even more favorable.
Well, Isaac Kofi Ajay, producer of this masterpiece, joins me in the studio for more analysis on this. Kofi, 8 trips in the Eurobond market with over 14 billion, loan that we cannot pay. How did we get here?
Well, just like you said, let there be loans, and there were more loans. So it all started in 2007 when we were done with the HIPC initiative, and Ghana qualified to the Eurobond market, where after a point, we were growing into the middle income status. So they call it growing into harder terms. So now we're looking for money in the capital market. We went there to borrow 750 million. That was our first trip. Once, and then we went fallow for a while. And then after that, when the Mahama administration took office, between 2013 and 2015, they borrowed 3 billion in 3 years. And the ultimate one that happened between 2018 and 2021, which is the President Akufo-Addo administration, where his finance minister is our current finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, where they developed a strong taste for, international capital loans. And they have borrowed 11 billion in just 3 years. So there you have it. The Akufo administration didn't really borrow much. It was our first trip in 2007. 750 million was a big deal.
Yeah, it was big.
So it's still huge, but currently if you compare, it may look very small. But this is the Mahama administration, 2013 to 2015, 1 billion each of the year. And if you add it, we are looking at $3 billion in 3 years. Now this is where the whole thing changed. This actually changed the composition of our debt, just like Bryce Simmons said, one where majority of our loans were from multilateral and bilateral sources to one where we had a lot of loans from commercial sources. So our first trip in 2018, 2 billion. 2019, 3 billion. 2020, 3 billion. COVID. Then 2021, that was our last trip, 3 billion. In fact, we wanted to go back to the market again in 2021.
They blocked us out.
And they blocked us out because at a point they realized that these people have crossed their threshold. And there's a point where we suffocated ourselves with more Eurobond loans, and now we can't pay and are seeking for debt relief in the capital market.
We've gone back with Capinham saying that, look, can you forgive us our debt?
40% haircut.
Anyway, let's see how that goes. But the National Teaching Council has expressed worry over the consistent failure rate recorded in the National Teacher Licensure Examination. Over 9,000 candidates out of the 20,000 who sat for the exams for the second time this year have failed. Some concerned teacher associations raised concerns over the mode of the exams, arguing that the NTC must revise the test to examine candidates in their area of specialty. We'll hear from the NTC shortly, but first, let's look at the numbers. And my colleague Isaac Kofi Ajay is still here with me. Kofi, so let's chat the numbers really that we do know.
Well, in fact, they've actually changed the so
it will take effect next year, or?
It has actually taken effect.
Oh, that's what happened this year? Okay.
In fact, that's actually the reason why we've had a failure rate around 47%.
When they were tested in their own special areas.
Exactly.
Oh.
So this very one that we are looking at, we have 4 core subjects and then your area of specialty. The one that was done, I think the examination that was taken in May 2023 was just numeracy and literacy, where we had the failure rate around 83.5%. Only 16 and a little above 16% passed that examination. Then they did some modification to it, and that's how come the failure rate has reduced from that 83.5. As some say it's not good to compare, but it's very good because, if you've done modification, then we need to know how it affected the failure rate.
Okay.
Now we are seeing just about 47.4% of them pass, and it's still significant. And let's look at this, Kojo. So they have this 4 core areas where the teachers take the exam. So this is very general. All of you must take the exams in these areas. And look at the failure rate, 38 to 32, 1.9, and then 16. Then teachers who...
But these are also core to the teaching profession.
Core to the teaching profession.
SHS pedagogy, primary JHS pedagogy, general knowledge, early childhood.
Absolutely. So all of them must demonstrate that they are very good in these areas, because that is the teaching profession. And just like the way we have, an accountant wanting to be a chartered accountant, that's the same way the licensure exams, that's the purpose of it. Now, if you change or do some sort of disaggregated analysis, you realize that when you go to the special, areas where teachers, those who teach mathematics, English, science, and all of those things, what are their strengths? So if you see red, it is GHS, and blue, and we are looking at SHS. So you see that as we move into science, as we move from junior high school to senior high school, the failure rate increases. The teachers who actually are teaching the junior high school in terms of inter-science, 1.8% of them failed. But if you go to the SHS level, you have a whopping 36.4 of them. Exactly. And if you look at the figures in the WASI examination, the failure rate is around the same region, not exactly the same, it's around the same region. So you have teachers failing around that same rate and students also failing around that same rate. Come to English, the same region. But this time around, you see that the failure rate is higher at the junior high school level than at the senior high school level. And then almighty mathematics, where 3.8% of the junior high school teachers failed. But when you go to the senior high school level, we have close to 30% of them failing in social studies over there. So that is what the picture looks like when you do the disaggregation. So there's been some sort of modification. Now teachers are being allowed to take the exams in their special areas.
In the area where they say we are the experts.
Exactly.
And they are still failing at this
Imagine your maths teacher writes licensure exams and is part of the people who failed mathematics. He's going to train you to pass WASI.
Thank you, Kofi. I mean, this is quite scary, but we can now listen to Public Relations Officer of the National Teacher Council, Dennis Oseusu, who said the current failure rate cannot be accepted, especially when the NTC has modified the exams.
There had been a reform in our examination. So this particular one that you have, the record that you have, is the maiden edition of the reform one. And these are people writing it for the first time. These are the areas we looked at. Initially, they were writing the generic one, which is the numeracy, literacy, essential professional skills. But as we speak, we are now going subject-based. So we examine them based on their area of specialization. And then again, we also examine them on pedagogy, that is methods of teaching, or let's say methodology. And then we also examine them on the general paper, where we had numeracy, literacy, essential professional skills, and general educational policies combined, making it a general paper. And so if we really want to compare, then it's also that these people are doing a different exam altogether. I mean, these results we are seeing, they are doing a different results altogether. And so comparing both, it's somehow not appropriate at this level. So looking at the pass rate, it's still something that we can't boast of, because the number is still down. And we wish they could have done better than this.
There must be a broader national discussion on this particular teacher licensure examination. We'll have more for you after this break. Stay with us. Welcome Welcome back from the break. Now back to the presidency, where President Akufo-Addo is fighting off the tag of being a clearing agent who clears his appointees of corruption before the courts and other institutions of state do so. Speaking at the launch of the national evaluation of the Anti-Corruption Action Plan here in Accra, the president indicated his administration detests corruption, but his appointees alleged to have been engaged in acts of corruption must be given the opportunity to go through due process.
It's important for the rule of law that the public institutions responsible for the detection, prosecution, and the punishment of corruption, i.e. of crime, be accorded respect until their own conduct is impeached. If that respect is not prima facie accorded, the foundations of orderly government can be easily subverted and pain of each one of us. That is why so far, every single alleged act of corruption leveled against any of my appointees has been investigated by independent bodies such as SRAG, the Criminal Investigation Department of the Police, and in some cases by Parliament itself. It is not my job to clear or convict any person accused of wrongdoing or of engaging in acts of wrongdoing, despite the effort of some to tag me as a clearing agent. That is the job of the courts and the law enforcement agencies. My job is to act on allegations of corruption, bring the issues to the proper investigative agencies for the relevant inquiry and action, including, if necessary, the of the affected official pending the conclusion of investigations. That is exactly what has been done since I assumed the mantle of leadership on 7 January 2017.
Now, the president has been listing corruption-related incidents that have rocked his administration and how his administration handled all of them.
Boachi Ejako at his parliamentary confirmation hearings in 2017. To that against the former CEO of BOSS, the Honorable Alfred Obeng, to those against the then two deputy chiefs of staff and the office of the president, the Honorable Francis Asensu Boachi and Honorable Samuel Abu Jinapo, to the conflict of interest allegations against the Minister for Finance, Ken Ofori-Atta, to the claims of extortion against the then Trade and Minister Industry designate, Alan Shamateng, at his parliamentary confirmation hearings in 2017, to allegations of doubling in visa racketeering against the then Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, Pius Hajije, and the then Director General of the National Sports Authority, Honorable Robert Safo-Mensah, who, even though exonerated by the CID, later resigned, and the chairperson of the board of the National Sports Authority, the Honorable Kwadwo Ba-Ajiman, to the allegations of bribery leveled against the Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, Charles Bishu, to those involving the dismissed acting CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, A.B. Ajay, and the dismissed CEO of the National Youth Authority, Emmanuel Asigri. They have all been investigated, in most cases cleared by the authorized institutions of our state and not by President Akufo-Addo. No evidence or allegation has been forthcoming that the executive, i.e. myself as president, has made any attempt to influence the outcome of any of these investigations. The latest episode, involving the former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, the Honorable Cecilia Abnadapa, is evident for all to see.
Now, President Akufo-Addo also emphasized how his administration has supported the fight.
It is also an undeniable
corruption
fact
with increased budgetary support backed by enabling legislations.
That is the Office of the Auditor General, the Judiciary, Parliament, the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, the Ghana Police Service, the Economic and Organized Crime Office, IOCO, and the Financial Intelligence Center have witnessed unprecedented increases since I assumed office in 2017. At the end of 2022, the budgetary allocation to Parliament witnessed a 100% increase compared to what I inherited in 2016. The police saw its budget increase by 274% at the end of 2022 in comparison to 2016. The Audit Service recorded a 258% rise in its budgetary allocation at the end of 2022 as compared to 2016. The budget of the judiciary rose by 36% at the end of 2022 compared to 2016. The budget of the Office of the Attorney General increased by 162% at the end of 2022 compared to 2016. The budget of IOCO increased by 47% at the end of 2022 in comparison to 2016. The budget of the Financial Intelligence Center increased by 443% compared to 2016, whilst the budget of SHRAJ increased by 99% at the end of 2022 compared to 2016. These figures reflect my resolve to ensure that institutions of state of relevance in the anti-corruption agenda are properly equipped to discharge satisfactorily the mandate of their offices. The system of governance our nation has been operating for the last 30 years, which has largely been grounded on the application of democratic values, the operation of a strong private sector-dominated market economy, respect for individual liberties and human rights, the rule of law, the separation of powers, and a free media has made a significant contribution.
Now, Deputy Shraj Boss Richard Kwesi also emphasized how the development of NACAP should not only be seen as a continuation of the previous plan, but as a means to refine the approach in fighting corruption.
An informed reflection, a moment of introspection that allows us to enhance what works for us as a nation and address what does not work. The challenges we face are ever evolving, and so must be our strategies. Through a rigorous evaluation process, we would gain insights into the impact of NACAP, identify areas for improvement, and lay the foundation for a more robust NACAP 2. Your Excellency, though the evaluation of the NACAP will lay the foundation for the development of NACAP 2, we must see NACAP 2 as not just a continuation, but an opportunity to consolidate the gains and commitment we have made in the fight against corruption. It is an opportunity to refine our approaches, address emerging threats, and engage a broader spectrum of stakeholders to ensure inclusivity and effectiveness.
This is still the Joy News Prime. Now, many electorates in the Ashanti region failed to turn up at the polling centers for the district level elections after they were exempted from voting on Tuesday due to logistical challenges. Over 200 electoral areas in the region, including Menchia South, Subeng, Oforikrom, and Inshayaso constituencies, electoral areas within those constituencies resumed voting on Thursday. Emmanuel Bright Kweku has been monitoring the polls in the region and has filed this report.
Turnouts have generally not been impressive at most polling centers in the Ashanti region. Many centers could not record more than half the number of electorates in the voter album. At the Ahmadiyya Primary School in the Subeng constituency, only 50 voters turned up at the center to vote.
Right now it's been low since morning. It's about 50 people who have come and vote. We are expecting 344 voters But as at now, we have 50. Now we don't know why.
Polling agents at the center attribute low turnout to postponement and delayed start of the voting exercise.
Assemblyman about to enter election and answer presidential and answer Mr. Adiana.
This election is unlike the general one, so people are not interested. So if you postpone the date for elections, it discourages people. The EC also didn't start early.
9 o'clock. ADSS start 8 o'clock. It's 7 o'clock.
It is believed many voters chose to cash out on Christmas sales other than visiting the polling centers to exercise their franchise. But some centers in the Ashanti region found a way to rope in more voters to participate in the exercise. At the Mention South constituency, candidates incentivized voters with food to turn up.
We have cooked various delicacies and made provisions to transport electorates from their homes. If we do not do it, it will go against us because we want them to be involved. That's why we made such provisions.
And it will go against you. Rice,
Meanwhile, at the Oforikrom constituency, EC officials had to deal with missing names in a voter album.
I'm pleading if they can give us the Oforikrom constituency next time when we are voting, they should give us the various polling stations with their codes, because people will come here with their voter ID card, but their names are not in this center, but we don't know where to direct them to go. That's the challenge that we are facing now.
The election, however, was peaceful at most centers across the region. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Kweku.
This is still Joy News Prime. We'll take a quick break. We will be back with Showbiz. All right, so welcome back. Time for us to do Showbiz, and Jackie is here. Hi.
Hi, Kojo Brace.
How are you?
I'm good. You?
I'm well. When you give me that look and that voice, I'm solid.
All right, let's get right into business. Now, we're starting with artists or musicians who sometimes, when they are done with music, they live in penury, and there's this fund for them. So sometimes musicians who retire and live in penury, there's a body dubbed Music Glow that has been launched to help cater for the aging musicians. Founder and president of Music Glow expressed grave concerns over the escalating poverty among aging musicians in Ghana.
Musicians bring joy to the lives of many people. Through their music, they entertain, inform, inspire, and even educate. However, some get so caught up in the stardom artistic phase of their lives that they do not invest or focus on the business side of music. Sadly, many are unable to evolve with time and so live in penury when they retire.
Even the music industry in Ghana is not working.
The music business wasn't helpful for some of us. It was bad. It was up to you or people coming to your aid.
With the introduction of Music Glow, a new umbrella body, Deborah Freeman, founder and president, believes that musicians can flourish under the innovative pension arrangement the group is introducing.
Unfortunately, amongst aging musicians or veteran musicians, we know many veteran musicians who make it big, but at the tail end of their career, they fall into, poverty. This is what Music Glow is seeking to reduce in the music industry, reduce poverty amongst aging musicians or veteran musicians. And also we have talented, musicians, up and coming musicians, but they don't have resources to record music or promote music. So this fund also comes in to support up and coming musicians, to be able to produce their music.
Chief Operating Officer of People's Pension Track, Kofi Meza Poli, shared that this new arrangement will significantly enhance the lives of musicians.
Old age, invalidity, and of course death. In the event of death, we pay to your beneficiaries. I think what you must all understand, especially the entertainers must understand, that their work lifespan is quite short. And therefore, it's important for them to prepare when they are on top. Once they prepare for that, then in future, they can have something to fall on. The truth is that the old age adage that our children will take care of us is not working anymore.
Music Glow not only offers hope for aging musicians, but also provides a platform for upcoming artists to thrive. Carlos Coloni's report, read to you.
That's a bit of advice to the veteran musicians to invest for their future.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's important. And some people should be guiding them, really.
Yeah, so that's why Music Glow is there for them. Now, the Australian High Commissioner to Ghana has a message for the fashion designers. Now, she's urging Ghanaians to tap into the booming industry. According to Bernice Owen-Jones, the global fashion sector is worth $3 billion, and the local industry must create a niche for itself. The diplomat made these comments at the Global Fashion Week held at the Australian High Commission in Accra. Joy Prime Shola Adeyemi was there and has filed this report.
And glamour, displaying a blend of Ghanaian creativity on Australian Aboriginal fabric.
Getting is difficult, feeling like Katrina with no FEMA, like Martin with no Gina.
Each of these fabrics hold a rich history and culture for the Australian people. The motifs in the fabrics have their own unique stories, many of which are similar to those in Ghana. The Australian High Commissioner to Ghana shares some.
To give you a bit of a flavour, there's a particular design being used tonight called Ladies Collecting Wild Fruits by First Nation artist called Jocelyn Bird.
The diplomats further encourage local designers to take advantage of the thriving global fashion industry.
Globally, the fashion market is valued at about $3 trillion. Ghana is exquisitely positioned to take advantage of these opportunities.
Global Fashion Week is a platform for Ghanaian designers to exhibit their creativity, network, and tap into the international market created. Some selected designers spoke to Joy Prime.
Like we already know in the market there are a lot of designers out there, but it takes credibility to be on such a prestigious platform.
So it is good to probably be part of such an event and such a memorable one. So I would say yes, I'm very happy to be here.
CEO of Global Ovations, Gideon Raji, thanked all who in diverse ways made the show a success.
The concept of bringing the Aboriginal fabric for Ghanaian designers to design work was very laudable and awesome. Of course, would want to still, continue on this. Thank you all for making it to the Global Fashion Week 2023.
All in attendance were highly entertained as a night of fashion was packed with performances from Nana Sase and a host of musicians. Shola Adeyemi reporting for Joy Prime.
All right, Kojo, now Joy FM party in the park.
It's coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
I'm going to be there with the family.
Yeah.
So we can have fun because you don't want to miss out.
Definitely. Now, are you confused about where to take your entire family this holiday? You might as well join the hundreds of family who are joining all your favorite presenters at the multimedia group, including Joy FM or the Joy FM Family Party in the Park. Last year, sensational acts Kiddy and Kwame Eugene treated families to good music. This year, the likes of Ifia and the Kwanpa Band will be there. There will be an unforgettable Christmas treat for everyone attending the Joy FM Party in the Park next Tuesday. Here are some highlights from last year.
Elvis.
Yeah.
Elvis, are you enjoying yourself?
Yes.
Wonderful. Give me 5.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Very exciting. Very, very exciting. It's my first time, and I'm so glad to be here. There is no place to be than here. Yes.
But you didn't come alone, right?
No, I didn't come. I came with some friends. They are in there.
Oh, it's very great. Joy FM has done very well because most of us parents were in the house, we didn't know where to go, so we just grabbed the opportunity to come. It's very great. You've done well, and we hope next year you do it much bigger.
Well, just as the woman was saying, next year, which is this year, she was hoping we do it much bigger, and this year is bigger. So join the party train at the Ebri Botanical Garden on December 26th from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. for a fun-packed family time this Christmas. The rate is a cool 200 Ghana cedis for family of 6, and also you can also buy the ticket using the short code *714 *003 *3# to purchase your tickets. Kojo?
I mean, there's a lot to look out for. So I'll be there, and I guess that you join me as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, go. Which family are you coming with? You join mine. Well, remember to brush your teeth before you go to bed this evening and tomorrow morning when you wake up from bed with either Pepsodent Cavity Fighter, Pepsodent Charcoal, Pepsodent Herbal, or Pepsodent Triple Protection. You know why? Because with Pepsodent, every smile matters like Jackie's smile, isn't it? All right.
It does.
And that's how we wrap up today's bulletin. There's more news on myjoyonline.com app.